Okay, well, I ordered the TRM50 kit from Mike McCoy, and just got it in the mail today, and I started putting it together, and I thought, well, I'll kind of try to video as I go along in the putting together of this system. He sends you everything you need, and then you just wire it up. And one of the biggest reasons I wanted to do this video is because I think some people might be surprised at how remarkably simple the ODA systems are. There's no circuit board, there's no computer board, there's absolutely nothing that you can't do yourself if you decide to build your own. They're actually real simple. Now this, when Mike McCoy does them, TRM Pyro, he does them differently than ODA. On an ODA system, it would start at 10 and go to 1, which I think is backwards, and I didn't want. And then I think he wires the DB25s a little bit different. So anyway, what you get is you get the panel that's already pre-cut to everything that you need, and you get the he's got the cutouts for the DB25s, and he sends you everything. What I did, I left these I didn't put these in because that's when I realized I could do a quick video and show you guys about this. So you're going to get just the panel. The key switch is already in it, and then this switch is already in it. And I think he just puts this switch in because this is a 2-position switch, whereas these are momentary. That way you don't have to root through all the switches and try to figure out which switch it is. So all you do, what I did was I started out by, I just started popping my little LED holders in. So I popped all those in. Then I made the mistake of putting all the LEDs in there, and all that does is make it a mess for you when you're trying to wire up your switches. So I'll show you about that in a little bit later. So all you're going to do, anybody can do it. Hell, this is monkey work here. This is pop the LEDs in, then you pop the little LED holders on behind them, and then you just go through and you put the switches on. You just put the switches in the panel, and then of course there's LED holders for up here and for right there. So I've got just a few switches left. These are extra LED holders, that or I put them in wrong. And then down here you got just the nuts and the lock washers for the LEDs, and then the key. I also do want to say, if you do decide to do this, make sure you don't tighten your switches down too tight, because this one I tightened down too tight and it broke in half. So that switch is no longer going to work out for me. Also, something kind of handy to know is instead of trying to do it finger tight, an 8mm wrench is what it takes for the little nuts in here. And as far as the simplicity part of it, like I was telling you, anybody can do it. All there is to these systems are switches and DB25s. That's it. There's no circuit boards, there's nothing like that at all. It's just switches and DB25s. Mike, if you order a kit from Mike, he pre-solders the DB25s, which saves a hell of a lot of time. And then he puts them together like this. And the way he does it, and I'll probably screw this up, I know, the way he does it on these pins, he'll do number 1 and number 14. Like that's going to be this one right here. That goes to cue number 1. Okay, this here, cue number 2. And he goes through like that, and then at the end, these 5 are the grounds, and these all 5 go together. So I believe the actual ODA brand systems, he does them different. I think instead of doing 2 hots and then the 5 grounds together, I think he does it the other way around, like 2 grounds and 5 hots or something. I don't know what the hell he does, but it's a little bit different. But anyway, that's all there is to the whole system. It's just a few of these and some switches. That's it. So you could easily build your own system. So I'm going to show you real quick what the finished product looks like on a smaller. This is my 20Q that Mike did for me. So it's the same thing, just on a smaller scale. And you can see what he does here is he takes one common all the way across, You're only going to use 2 of the 3 poles on these switches. He takes 1 ground all the way across on all of the grounds. All these grounds follow that red wire, and they go into your that's your test fire switch. And then we'll get into some of the other stuff a little bit later. So those 2 wires go together to the center pole on Q number 1. Right there. So all these sets of wires are just doubled up, and they go to the center pole. That's it. I mean, I think it's going to be really simple to do. It looks like a lot of work, but it's really not that bad. Then when you get to your key switch and your test arm switch, things get changed just a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be too tough at all. So I wanted to show you guys that, and then I'm going to keep plugging along here, try to get these switches fixed back up. I'm going to try to get all these switches put back in. Then when I start running wires and soldering them, I'll grab the camera again and show you guys where I'm at. Finished getting all my switches in. So I got switches and LED holders in. Like I said, I'm not putting the LEDs in until I'm done wiring the switches, because as you can see, there's a big, these have like a 10-inch lead on them. Pre-soldered with the diode, or with the resistors already in them, which saves you so much time and aggravation not having to solder a resistor on them. So I think what we'll do next is I'm either going to put these in, the DB25s in, or I might go ahead and start soldering my bottom negative together. See, the bottom on all these switches, the bottom pin is going to all have a common on that row. It's all going to have a common on this row. It's going to have one going to all of them on this row, one going to all of them on this row, and then they're all going to come together into one. I think I'm going to go ahead and get going on that, solder those in, and then we'll see here in just a minute. I'm going to double check on this one. Yeah. See, these are all soldered, going from one to the next, to the next, to the next. They all come together right up here. This wire right here. And there's a diode on that, so we'll have to put a diode on that, and we'll get it going from there. So I'm going to get going on that, and then we'll be back in a few. Okay, so I got the common going for all these. Point to it here. Going all the way along all the bottoms of the switches for all 5 of them. So what I'll do is I'll put a dab of solder on all these connections, and then we're going to go, and we got to join all these together. So we'll join these 2 together, join these 2 together, and then this one, and then we'll have one main line that's going to run up to the test switch. So I'll get these soldered up and be back in just a minute. Okay, well, we got all our connections soldered up here on all of them. So we got all the commons, so then I brought the commons out to here, got them soldered here, soldered here, soldered here. We're going to run from here. I'm just waiting on a little bit of clarification on the diode as to where it goes, because we're going to have a diode that's going to go from right here to somewhere on this. I don't remember exactly where it goes, so I'm waiting for just a little bit of clarification on where it goes. Then we're going to run this little guy right here over this pole on the key switch, and then we're going to run from the positive power over here to the same pole on the key switch. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to get this soldered up here. See, this has gone to both the middle, both poles. This one here goes to both of them. And then going to go to the key switch, and then we're going to run a wire from here over to the same pole on the key switch. I'm going to get those soldered up, and then I'll be back. Alright, so here's main power right here. So we soldered that wire up, ran it all the way over to the key switch right there. Then we ran a wire. We ran 2 wires here is what we've got. We've got one that is for the positive on the LED for the key switch to right there. And then we ran these 2 together that we were talking about earlier into the same thing, and we soldered those up too. So I'm going to take a look, see what we got to do next, and we'll keep moving along. Okay, now the fun begins. What I've done here is these are the 5 grounds. Okay, you see these 5 grounds, and then all these other ones, if you buy a kit from Mike, this is Q1, Q2, Q3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so these are the negatives. What we do is we're going to cut all these off shorter. Then we're going to put them all, we're going to group them all together, solder 1 wire onto them, and bring them straight up to the negative here. And we're going to do that with all 5 of these. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll get to wiring up the switches. Okay? So you see we took all 5 of those wires, soldered them together, and we're going to put a piece of heat shrink on it here. It's going to end up looking just like this. When we hit that with the heat gun, it's going to be one nice clean joint or whatever. So then we're going to do that on all 5 of these and run them to the negative from the power supply. We'll be back. Okay. Well, we got the 5 negatives from each DB25. Got them all hooked together, soldered on, and heat shrink. It's always good to use heat shrink when you're dealing with stuff like this, because that way you don't have any bare wires, anything to bump up against something else and cause trouble. So got all 5 of these done. We're going to run them, I'll zip tie them all up to each other, and then we'll run them all into the negative power output, or power input. So we'll do that, and then we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I connected, you can see all the negatives together, soldered them, shrink wrapped them, and got them to that negative right there. That's the main power input. Now the mystery with the diode. Okay, this diode has to go in between. This is going to be your fire side here. This is what's connecting all these. So it's connecting all those. It's just one big trunk line, okay? This is your fire side, and then once we get all the positives from the LEDs, that's going to be the continuity side. That diode has to connect the fire side and the continuity side, so when we're in continuity testing mode, when we're in fire mode, we'll still get continuity. But when we're in testing mode, it won't send the voltage back through, so if you accidentally bumped a button, it will go off. So we got to put that, strip a little bit of wire away right here. This is where the diode's going to go. This end of here is going to go on the switch right there. And we're going to get this diode, and then when we get all the LEDs in, we'll put the LEDs to the, we'll hook this in with the main trunk from the LEDs and then hook them to their test side. So I think I'm going to let that sit for now though, and next we're going to start with all this stuff, and we're going to start getting these Qs wired up. So we'll be back. Okay, so here's what we got. I have gotten done with the first one. I took, we already showed that I did this. We got all those grouped into one, taken to the negative. Those are all the negatives. And then here, you can see, I'll try to use this thing to point. Like this is Q1, Q2, 3, 4, 5. So I took those and we went all the way across. So what you do is I put the LED in here. Here's the black, and then here's the red that's got the resistor on it. The black is just going to go to your middle pole on your switch, along with the Q wire. Follow that all the way back from here. That was Q number 1 we were just looking at, so that's that one right there. And then you just do that for every single one. And then the red wire from the lights, I got those all bundled up together on there. You can't look at that here, but all these here, those are all the positives from the LEDs. So right now I'm working on that. and hopefully I can get got 40 more to do. It took forever to do 10, but like I said, if you got a schematic and you know how to read one, and you got the time to do it, it's not hard. It's just kind of brainless monkey work. So we're gonna keep getting after it here, and hopefully at some point get done. We'll be back. All right, well, it's almost midnight. I've been working on this since about 4 o'clock, I think. We took a couple-hour break, and I just got a pleasant surprise. I went out to the garage, hooked it up to some slats, and it works. Hooked the diode up the right way. I've only got 2 rows wired up. Let's see here. Flip it around. Alright, I've got the first 2 rows done, and I figured, well, I better go try it out and make sure it works the way I'm doing it first. And it did. So that's a good thing. So I don't remember exactly the last thing that we looked at here, but I took the positives from the LEDs, and you're gonna have to run them all together. I only did this little deal here without soldering it or covering it up because I just wanted to do that to try it, and it ended up working. And something I can tell you for sure is zip ties are your friends here. Zip tie all this stuff together. It makes your work look relatively neat. Mine does not look very neat, but I'm not done. But and it helps keep stray wires out of your way and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, if you know how to solder, you can put one of these together. They're really not too bad. It's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of soldering and just work, but it's really not too bad. You do a row every day or something like that, and you're okay. I did hot glue. You can kind of see back there. I hot glued the LEDs in. Here I still got some work to do to clean up, but functionally it works perfect. It works. All the functions do everything they're supposed to. You can't fire it in test mode, and then if you're in fire mode and you try to hit a cue with nothing on it, the arm light will light up, kind of show you that you don't have anything in that cue. So I think I'm probably done for the night here. But when I come back out tomorrow, we'll get back after it, and I'll show you what I got done. Okay, I was talking last night. We've got the first 20 cues wired up. So I've got all these 20 switches wired up, and I wanted to make sure all the lights worked, the test and arm modes worked, everything worked before I went ahead and continued wiring the other 30 switches. So I figured we ought to do a test. So I did a little test last night, but we'll show you again what's going on, how it's coming along so far. Like I said, first 20 cues and the switch, test, and arm are wired up, and then all of these I've already got wired also. So I got a little 12-volt battery. You can't really see it. It's behind the slat here. Just a little 12-volt. I've got 2 good talons in cues 2 and 10. Then I've got a jumper in 5 and 7. So hopefully when we light up, okay. So you can see here, our test mode light is on. I went ahead and made that a yellow light. We're showing good continuity in 2, 5, 7, and 10, which is everything we've got something in. So we will flip over to fire mode, arm it, test light goes off like it's supposed to. And something that was kind of interesting on this, if you don't have something in Q3 and you hit the button, if you're in test mode and you don't have something in Q3 and you hit the button, the arm light will light up when you hit the button if nothing's in that queue. So we'll flip over to arm. I've got talons in 2 and 4. Let's see, you should be able to see that. Yep. So first we'll flip it back over to test. We'll try to fire Q2, which you can see doesn't fire. Q10 also has a talon in it. You can see it's not firing. That means my diode should be on right. And then in arm mode, we're going to fire Q2. There goes that talon, and Q10. There goes that talon. So everything is working appropriately so far. So we'll go inside, and I might, we'll just keep moving on here and try to get these all done tonight, hopefully. So we'll be back. Okay, so we saw that everything works. I just want to show you real quick kind of what I'm doing here. We're putting the LEDs in. Okay, these are pre-wired with the resistor in. What I'm doing is I'm cutting the black wire off real short right here, because what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to pop that in there, and the black wire is going to go with the first wire right here, these two together, to the center pole right there. Okay, so what I'm going to end up doing is for every one it's going to be a different amount, but what I kind of do is I take, like right here, I see it's going to go in right there, so I'll take it about right there. I'll snip those wires off right there, so I know I'm not going to have a whole lot of access stuff everywhere. I'll strip these two off, combine these three, put them in that center pole, solder it up, and move on to the next one. So that's what we're doing. You got to do that for every single one of them. So you guys that are wanting to build a ODA system with 100 switches on it, you're going to be doing that shit for a long time. But you know, the only thing there is to it is you know, combining these, just wiring these in together with the switches. I mean, that's it. So you know, once you have done one row, you know how to do. You could make 1,000 switch system if you want, because they're all the same after that. So we'll keep moving along. I'll be back. Okay, third row down. Now I'm taking, I'm just going to show you real quick, I'm taking all the positives from the LEDs and I'm trimming them down to where they need to be, the same exact way I did with these. So there's the longest one, there you go. Longest one, I trimmed it probably about 1 inch. Now the second to longest, right here, I'm going to run that one right along next to it. See, it needs to be trimmed down. I'll cut it off so it comes out right there. And then the third one, I'll trim it down so it comes out with it too. And I'll do that all the way across. That way I can end up with this, you know, one end thing here. And then I'll have one common wire going around all of them. So we'll get going on that. Okay, so I got those, got this third group all done up. I'm still going to go through and zip tie them all. But we're going to start here, and I've already soldered these. So I'm going to take a piece of, this is actually a really big heat shrink because I needed to go over all of them. But you got to remember to put your heat shrink on the wire before you solder them all together, because once you solder them, you're not going to be able to get them on there. So I'll put that on there, hit it with the heat gun, then the next one will come to here. I'll heat shrink it, then the next one will come to here, I'll heat shrink it, and then everything. I'll solder, of course I'll solder this one and then this one. So I'm going to zip tie these up, get these heat shrinks and soldered, and we'll start on the next row. Alright, we're finally done. Got everything done. Got these zip tied everything. Kind of tried to clean it up a little bit. And now, just got to go out and test it one last time. And should be it. Should be all ready to go. Alright, well, we finally got finished. We got to test it all, make sure everything works. I figured, I think I got about probably 8 hours into this, which really isn't too bad. So, 12-volt battery, shunts in every slat, every Q this time. So we should get test light and all red. Test light and all red. So we'll move it down to the B. All red. C. All red. D. All red. And E. All red. So that's all done.